Welcome to A Balancing Act, a podcast devoted to helping families navigate memory loss. I'm Kelly Burtonshaw. For 20 years, I've worked as a licensed speech-language pathologist and certified dementia care specialist. And when a loved one is diagnosed with memory loss, everyone's lives change. Family members now have to juggle their loved one's increasing need for care, while also trying to manage their own lives, families, and careers. It truly becomes a balancing act. I created this podcast with the goal of helping you and your family face these challenges head-on. Together, we'll find the answers, because no one should walk this journey alone. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. My voice is a little raspy today. I'm just getting over a cold, so I hope you can bear with me. For this episode, I wanted to share with you that a family reached out to me the other day to ask about their mom's increasingly unusual behavior over the last several months. They told me she would start the day distant and weepy, and then become extremely restless and agitated. They said their mom was starting to hoard things. She would work herself up, moving things around, and then she forgot where she put them. And by late afternoon, she became paranoid and aggressive, accusing family members and friends of trying to steal things from her. And she often told her family that they just wanted to get rid of her and move her to a crazy farm. And this was a daily struggle for this family to try and figure out why she was starting to behave in these ways. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure many of you have had similar experiences. So today, let's talk about what's likely behind your loved one's erratic behaviors and what to expect as your loved one's dementia progresses. I will always remember this rule from one of my instructors. All behavior has meaning. There is no such thing as a random action or response. Everything we do is a communication of a need, both conscious and subconscious. And if we combine that rule with the understanding that your loved one's brain and personality are being hijacked by dementia, then we can understand that whatever your loved one is doing is not just some weird random behavior, but it is always driven by an unmet need. It doesn't matter if that need seems completely unfounded, it is very real to them at that moment. So rather than focusing on how your loved one is behaving, let's search for what it is that they need that causes them to act in these ways. What are they trying to tell you about how they're feeling? And this question brings us to the need to talk about triggers. There are two types of triggers, the ones that come from inside of us and the ones that come from around us. First, let's talk about those internal triggers. Internal triggers can be physical, emotional, or in your loved one's perception of what is going on. For example, your loved one may be tired, in pain, or hungry, and it's upsetting them. They may forget that they just recently have been with their family members, so they feel abandoned, lonely, and fearful. And when they forget where they put things and then can't find them, they perceive this as someone stealing from them. Then there are external triggers, the people, places, or things around your loved one with what may now be difficult for them to manage. But those affected by memory loss, noise, crowds, the lighting, or the temperature may set them off. Someone talking to them too quickly can shut them down. Even things like clothing tags, the texture of foods, or changes to their environment can ignite unusual or aggressive responses. And if we keep track of their responses, both triggers and underlying needs are more easily identified. Look for patterns. And no matter how unreasonable their response to a trigger may seem to us, it is very real to them. So, first and foremost, their reality needs to lead our responses, just as it does theirs. Now, I want to dive deeper into dementia-related internal triggers because they are the result of the progressive brain and personality changes that dementia brings. In the early stages of dementia, Your loved one is not only having memory problems, they also have difficulty processing what's going on around them and inside of them. And because they have difficulty organizing that information, they have difficulty expressing what they're feeling or what they need. You might often find your loved one worried, agitated, and feeling very vulnerable. They know something is going on, but they can't seem to put their finger on it. They may be afraid to face the problems, or they may be embarrassed. So both outward and inward denial start to play a role in their everyday behavior. But let's put ourselves in their shoes for a moment. How frustrating it must be to feel like you're losing control of your memory, your thinking, and your moods. And the stigma around memory loss can be tough to face, especially from family and friends. Why would admitting it make it any better for them? Other things to look for are increasing restlessness, agitation, impatience, and intolerance to any change. They may be quicker to anger and slower to accept, may be rigid in their thinking, and yes, there will be sadness about what's happening to them. You may see growing signs of depression, withdrawal, and isolation. This may be because they're embarrassed by their struggles, or because navigating social interactions are now becoming too challenging for them, or both. So at this early stage, it is a good time to sit and talk with your loved one. Ask them how they are feeling. Reassure them that they're loved and that the family is there for them, no matter what. Ask what they want help with and what they don't want help with. They are likely still living independently and managing quite well with their daily activities. So it's best to assume they can do things until they can't. It's important to their sense of self to know that you and other family members will help whenever asked and not before. Show them that you respect their space, how they want things done, and their need to have control over their lives. And while some of their needs or responses may seem unusual, it helps to remember that they have no control over what is happening to them. They are doing the best they can. Acknowledging their feelings and following their lead will make this part of the journey smoother for everyone. I often tell families I work with that they will know when their loved one is moving to the middle stages of dementia. Very few things their loved one is doing make sense. During the middle stages of dementia, we begin to see unrealistic and unreasonable behaviors. Because more areas of the brain are being taken over, their thinking, problem-solving, impulse control, reasoning, and judgment are all impacted. They will also struggle more with language, both speaking and understanding. They may not be safe in their home. They maybe shouldn't be driving. They may be struggling now to take care of themselves, their medications, or finances. And worst of all, they are not aware that these things are happening to them. They don't get a warning system. The brain goes with what it's got. And they don't remember that they can't remember. They are past denying that there may be a problem. They deny there is any problem. Everything and everyone else is. They will leave the stove on, get lost while driving, repeat themselves and hide their belongings. And of course, and in their mind, they didn't do any of those things. This internal chaos your loved one is facing triggers all kinds of personality problems, from paranoia, rapid mood shifts, irritability, irrationality, and self-centeredness. They are delusional and cannot be reasoned with. So first, avoid arguing, correcting, or trying to reason with your loved one. It won't work, and it will frustrate and anger you both. In my years of practice, the one thing I have found that is the quickest and most effective way to lower the temperature is apology. Apologize that the room is too cold, that the situation is difficult or unfair, that you tried to help them, that others messed up, and that this is hard. Saying something like, "Mom, I'm sorry this is happening to you. It must be very hard on you." Or, "I'm sorry your things are missing. I want you to feel safe and secure, so I'm going to find out what happened to them." Apologies like these always help. This stage of dementia is often the longest, and a lot of big changes are happening. I know it can be extremely frustrating and even aggravating to be with your loved one during this stage. So try to stick with this formula. Apologize for what is happening. Let them know the problem will be fixed. and then redirect them to something they enjoy. This will put you both in a better place. And forgive them for everything. Even though your loved one is still the same person, dementia is hijacking their brain, personality, and abilities. Your loved one has no choice but to do as dementia directs. Now, let's take a step back and talk about you. Dementia is the cause not only for the upheaval of your loved one's emotions, but also yours. Even though you did not expect to be in this situation, or even agree to take all this on, here you are. You will simultaneously feel much of the same sadness, anger, frustration, and resentment your loved one is feeling. And while they can't alter their experience, you can alter yours. Any chance you get, take a breath, step away, sit down, quiet down, and slow down. Whatever you are experiencing deserves as much time and attention as your loved one. Intentionally schedule daily moments to turn off your phone, listen to music, or take a walk, or just sit. Be deliberate in scheduling weekly me time by doing something enjoyable with your spouse, kids, fur babies, or friends. Go ahead, go to lunch, get a manicure or a massage, go to a comedy club, or rewatch favorite movies. Look for joy, have a good laugh, have a good cry, and then crawl into bed and get some much-deserved rest. And most importantly, please don't try to do this alone. Seek out a support group, have go-to resources, including this podcast, and reach out to others who have similar experiences to get some perspective and resources. Put your own mental, emotional, and physical health first, or you won't have anything left for either your loved one or yourself. I've included resources for all the information we talked about today in the show notes. Information about the stages of dementia, as well as things you can do to respond to the behaviors related to those stages. And finally, I invite you to give yourself a guilt-free break by remembering that no one is perfect at this. No one. You're doing the best you can. You're doing it from a place of love. And that is enough. It was my pleasure spending time with you today. I'm Kelly Burtonshaw. Keep in touch.
Hi, I'm Peggy Wright, editor and producer of this podcast. If you like this episode, let us know by following A Balancing Act wherever you get your podcasts. Please take a moment to rate and review. And be sure to check us out on our new YouTube channel. Leave any comments or questions for Kelly so that we can continue to provide relevant content. We are here to help, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thanks for listening today.